some awesome footage, I must say. All these beautiful comic book movies that we've been awaiting so much this year. BVS, Suicide Squad, Deadpool, which is next month. Hey, I'm counting down the days. X-Men Apocalypse, let's see, what else? Captain America Civil War, and last but not least, Doctor Strange. It would have been Gambit too, but we already know what happened with that, so we're not going to talk about that right now. We're going to just talk about some of the things that are on my most anticipated list for the year 2016. How about some people that made it? We made it here, nerds. We're finally here. We're ready to go crazy. And by the way, my name is Paris Hughes, aka The Rational Nerd on comicbookmovie.com. You guys can find me there. I leave comments almost every other day because I'm not really doing anything in the meantime. And I should work on that, right? But we're here today to talk about my most anticipated films of 2016 and my least anticipated films of 2016. But the truth is, I'm excited for all of these movies that I'm about to go into and give descriptions on, you know. But there are some things that, you know, I've been thinking about for each one of these films in particular. Each film has its cons that are sitting in my head at the moment. And I'm sure as release dates become closer and closer, I may start to have more cons, I may start to have more pros. But with that being said, we're going to go ahead and check out my first most anticipated film of 2016. And that film would have to be...
My friend, so was I.
Captain America Civil War. I'm very excited for it. It's been a long time coming. Man, the first Captain America movie, when I saw it, it was okay. It was average. It wasn't that bad. You know, I think that they played it pretty safe because it's kind of hard to do a time period piece like that. No, I'm hard. I figured it would have been something like, you know, Saving Private Ryan mixed in with, you know, the superhero genre. You know, could have even delved into some of the discrimination against blacks and just showing like how Captain America's just like there for like even people that was being treated wrongfully. But hey, look, it doesn't matter. It does matter in some cases. It doesn't matter in some cases. It was Cap's movie. It wasn't meant for me to go into that deep type of territory. Anyway, I'm gonna get back on track. The reason why Captain America Civil War has to be my most anticipated film is firstly because the simple fact that Spider-Man and Black Panther are making their big debut in this movie. And at first, I believe it was supposed to have been Black Panther, but the Russo brothers, I want to make sure I get the names right, sorry guys, they believed that, you know, you couldn't do the Civil War story without Spider-Man. So once it was stated and officially confirmed by Marvel themselves that Spider-Man was successfully back into the hands of the MCU, a lot of fans were overjoyed and they could think about all these unlimited possibilities of what they could do with the character. So now that Spider-Man is making his big debut in the MCU, underneath of the Russo brothers at that, I have to say that I'm pretty excited to see this happen. So it seems like as if they're very big fans of the character, like while they were growing up. That's, you know, what director hasn't said that? Oh, I grew up reading Spider-Man comics, you know, I can relate to him, blah, blah, blah. Because Peter Parker is like every teenage guy's guy. Like, he has the lifestyle that most of us have to go through, from his love life, all these other type of different things that I can't go into, sadly, because I'm trying to talk about Captain America. So I'll stop there with that, and later on I'll probably talk about that when I go into further movies for like 2017 or something. How about that? But I'm very excited to also see Black Panther. Come on, guys. Come on. Come on. All right? We're finally digging into the motherland of Africa, you know, and Wakanda at that, you know, the heart of Africa in the MCU and the comics, that is. So it's going to be pretty good to see like exactly why T'Challa's making his big debut in Civil War. So many people have their theories that I won't go into because sometimes fans do get, you know, do guess the right assumptions in regards to their theories, and they end up becoming spoilers when we least expect. So I'm not going to dig into it, but there are some pretty reasonable reasons why he'll be making his debut in Civil War, and I guess when we all see it, it's going to be something to remember because the costume looks fantastic, and that's my second pro on my list, is the fact that all these costumes in the movie look perfect. Only gripes I'll probably have to say that I have would probably be with Scarlet Witch, but I mean, hey, they're going for like a realistic look. We've seen this in Captain America: The Winter Soldier. We saw the same thing with Falcon as well. Many people did want Falcon that finally had like some wide, you know, had the head, you know, tiara or whatever you want to call it, go over his head. I don't have the right word for it, so don't, you know, beat me to death for getting it wrong. But, you know, it would be nice to see like some different types of costume designs, but I'm still talking about the pros. Anyway, I'll probably get this, I'll probably, you know, become more smooth with this as time goes on. But, they say that like after this, the Marvel Universe will be different. Like, what does this mean? What's going to happen that's going to change the tides of everything? Because the last time I checked, Thor Ragnarok was supposed to do the same exact thing. So what's going to happen in Civil War that drastically changes the Marvel Universe? Will some characters die, which has been hinted at? I won't say who, but some people who have read the comic may have an idea. It could be him, or it could be somebody else. It could be a he, it could be a she, it could be an it. We don't know. So that's something that I think that's playing in a lot of our heads at the moment. And how they handle that, I think, will be very memorable in this film, because it seems like it already has a lot of weight riding on its shoulders, and which is something that I love to see in comic book movies. There has to be some type of weight. Everything can't be so easy all the time. Sometimes you do want to see your heroes like at the lowest point, but there are, you know, jubilant moments in their lives as well. But this is Captain America. Politics in general isn't a fun ride all the time, so this is going to be pretty interesting to see like how they handle this. And I think the last thing they said was that it's supposed to be what, a psychological thriller, like how The Winter Soldier, like how a lot of people say, was a political thriller. You know, they did a good job. It reminded me of the old political thrillers. So this is a psychological thriller movie. So I'm a psych major, so I'll be paying attention to some of the moral and mental concepts that they'll be exploring within some of these characters, and why they may be on opposite sides in regards to this hero registration act that's going to cause most of these vigilantes, or heroes if you will, to turn themselves into the government, to work underneath of the government. So we'll see how that turns out. And my last pro for this film will have to be, whoever wins, we still lose. Whichever way you look at it, whoever wins in this case, we still lose. I don't think that this film is going to end with everybody joining sides together for the best of everything. I think that there's still going to be some people carrying a lot of weight with them from, you know, the choices that they made within this film. Because although there are going to be light moments with characters like Ant-Man and Spider-Man as well, I do think that there's going to be some darker moments as well, as the Russo brothers have already pointed out. Excuse me. Now let's go into the cons for this movie, okay? The only gripe that I have with this movie, aside from not being solely based on the Civil War comic, because they don't have the rights to all the characters who played a role in that story, nor have they already introduced the majority of these characters as well, even though they could have. She-Hulk, Punisher, yeah. But since they're not, I think they're going to play pretty safe with that. So anyway, the cons will have to be the fact that there are really no vigilantes in the MCU besides at least one or two. Black Panther may be a vigilante depending on how popular he may be known to the public. I don't think that the public is going to know his identity, so I think he's going to have like more of a secret thing going on with him. And there's still a lot that I don't know about Black Panther because his comics have been so scarce to find on the market shelves. Now they're probably going to start issuing them out like crazy because the movie's coming out. So hopefully I'll be able to dig into more of his mythos and who he is. But besides Black Panther, I have to say that Spider-Man and Ant-Man will probably be the only three vigilantes out of this entire movie. Now, we've heard that Captain America is acting as if he was a vigilante for different reasons, going against, you know, S.H.I.E.L.D. that could have been tied into the government, but how would the government know when there were secret ties to Hydra? You know, there's so many different ways in which this thing could work, but in the end, a part of me feels a little let down because some characters who could have been vigilantes, like Hawkeye, you know, Bruce Banner, everybody didn't really have to know he was. But then again, you know what? I'm wrong about that because General Ross, he still knows who Bruce Banner is. So, I mean, if you have a name like that and the government knows who you are, just imagine what the public knows. So, it can go half and half, but I do think that Hawkeye could at least be another individual who has a secret identity. But they're playing things their way, and I won't get mad with that. But the thing is that we are starting to see more vigilantes pop up within the MCU, which is pretty incredible at that. So I'm pretty glad to see that, but it just still lingers in my head like, okay, who are these vigilantes? It's going to really feel like, you know, these heroes have to go in for a reason when everybody knows who they are. You know, another part of me feels like as if, you know, will they be able to offer more than like what we already know? A lot of people already know ways in which Civil War may end by the time the movie's over and all said and done. You know, there's many like plot theories that people can come out with, and they all seem to be like so correct because it seems like so many people are already on the right foot in knowing what's going to happen at the end of this film. Who may die, what consequences may be met. You know, everything based off the trailer, it led a lot of people to come to their own conclusions about things. So there's things that we still don't know. And lastly, one of those cons would have to be Baron Zemo. Now, Baron Zemo is one of Captain America's main villains, antagonists, if you will, that most people are familiar with. And one of the things that people are familiar with is how he wears this mask over his face, like this huge purple mask. And like you see like these two yellow eyes. It has like this evil look to it. Like you don't know who this mysterious person is. And in the film, however, I don't believe that he'll be wearing his purple mask. We can take a look at that quote after, I finish talking about this. So I think I'll just do it right now. While participating in a trailer breakdown with Empire Online, Joe Russo states, Zemo in the Marvel Cinematic Universe is not Zemo from the comics. And what's interesting and surprising is that we don't always honor the mythology from the books. 1, because it's predictable, and 2, it's not servicing the story in the way we want. So if Zemo were in this movie, I think people should expect that it's going to be something fresh and exciting. Actor Daniel Bruhl will also go on to reveal in an interview with Business Insider that Baron Zemo does not wear the mask. You would be surprised. It's different than what you'd think. It's loosely connected to this character, but that's what I like about Marvel, guys. Some of the characters and things they're dealing with always reference the current events, so my character is from a different area than what you would think. It seems like as if, that they're also trying to make their own way of introducing this character into the universe. Perhaps instead of saying Baron Zemo, he could be Baron Primo, like the pre-version of Baron Zemo. So I guess the safe thing to say is that this person hasn't already been fully developed within the universe, so he could be used for further movies further down the line. Who knows? Maybe a Thunderbolts movie? Let's see. Dark Avengers, if you will. I mean, hey, they got Spider-Man back. They can do anything now. So my next most anticipated comic book movie of 2016 would have to be the one and only Doctor Strange. Did I do it correct? No? No? Alright, freak it. Okay? Benedict Cumberbatch. Come on, guys. Amazing. Amazing casting. I originally did want Joaquin Phoenix to be part of this movie because I thought he would have been a pretty terrific Doctor Strange. And the fan art that people did was like so amazing as well. Like he had the beard and everything. I know mine's just, you can't be Doctor Strange and not have the beard. I think his beard would have been on point. Okay, but less about the beard and more about the Doc. One thing about this movie is that it's going into a different territory that like we really haven't seen within the MCU before. It opens the path to like different dimensions and parallel universes and all types of other things that like we haven't ever really seen before. It could almost like have its own way of like the astral plane, like similar to the X-Men movies, if you will, like with Professor Xavier, but like that times 10, like with all these different colors and white bright lights and just being able to see like all these mythical creatures from sorcery that nobody can like really see on the daily basis. It's something that I'm pretty interested in seeing, and seeing that I did see the original I think it was the 2007 movie, correct me if I'm wrong, and I really did watch that for like the first time like when I was younger. I loved it. It was pretty good. I never really knew who Doctor Strange was besides this guy that I used to see like time to time in Spider-Man the Animated Series, but it was still pretty cool either way. But less about that and more about the movie. The fact that they had the director from Sinister leads me to believe that this is going to be in pretty good hands because he does do an excellent job like with thrills, and I think that this is something that we can get a sense of in this movie as well. Like imagine becoming this character who has to see these things that nobody else can see. How would that affect you going to like the end of the world just to find this ancient one who can heal your hands and teach you things and all this other type of stuff that I'm probably wrong about, but I will become right about it as soon as the movie comes out. It won't be a one and done franchise. This is going to be a movie that's going to have numerous other films come after it, and I think it's probably going to have its own trilogy. It'll most likely have that, and also other cameos and so many other different Marvel movies as well. The one thing about his powers that I did forget to mention was the simple fact that it could open doors for Marvel gaining the rights to other characters further down the line. Like with the Fantastic Four at Fox. I was really rooting for you guys, but you guys got it wrong. But it's alright. It's alright. It's alright. I know you guys ain't gonna mess with it anymore. It's in, you guys gonna put that on hold. But if there was a chance, I should say, for, you know, the MCU to get their hands back on the Fantastic Four, I think that you can easily use Doctor Strange to open up this dimension, you know, this lost dimension. Who knows? They could already be existing within the MCU, but they've been gone the entire time. Who knows? And, you know, he could just easily open up a dimension. Hey, what's up, thing? What's going on, man? Mr. Fantastic. All right. God dang it. Human Torch. Invisible Woman. What's up, boo? How you doing? All right. But still, it will be pretty interesting to see if they can use his powers to introduce other characters like from other franchises and studios who still haven't really come back into the MCU yet. So it's something I'm waiting on. It's just, you know, wishful thinking, but hey, you never know what you may get, right, within the MCU. Nobody stays dead. In this case, nobody stays safe in the other studios. Spider-Man. So, X-Men. You guys better play it safe, alright? Moving to the cons of this movie. It's pretty short. I probably have to say that Baron Mordo, a lot of people believe that he may end up getting killed off within this one movie, but it seems like as if he's being introduced pretty early. Like, we don't really see him like in his sinister sense, I should say, even though he is like kind of like an anti-hero. He still lingers towards like the dark side as well at times too, if you've seen like the cartoon movie. So if you're, you know, a fan, I think that anybody who's interested should check out the original movie or possibly go straight to the comics, which would be 10 times easier to see exactly who this guy is. Next on my most anticipated list, I think that this one's a little crazy for some of the darker, insane moviegoers. I have to say that film would be
Let's do something fun.
Suicide Squad. Oh man, Suicide Squad looks amazing. This last trailer that we just got, like what, the other day, the trailer was phenomenal. From the music, the action, the costumes, for some characters that is. I'm not gonna say who, but you guys know who I may be referring to for those. I mean, everybody has their own idea of costumes and whatever. But hey, the film looks fantastic. It looks dark. It looks like it can have some hilarious moments as well. But it looks like it doesn't stray too far away from like the tone that it's going for, like this wacky, dark, you know, like movie. You know, it's crazy. I mean, you're dealing with all these villains, so how can you have something that makes you feel emotionally attached to them? Will there be ways that will feel emotionally attached to these characters? Based off from some of the trailers that we've seen so far, it does seem like they are heavily hinting at like we're going to get some further development in regards to like who most of these characters even are. From Killer Croc to Harley Quinn to Captain Boomerang and Rick Flag and like all these other people. It seems like they're doing like a lot of like introductions to who these people are and how they'll possibly get like where they got in the movie. Like how we'll find them, like where they are there. So I believe like even like when the film was filming in the its early production phases last year, you could see like some set pictures of, you know, events that happen with certain characters as flashbacks. Like Deadshot spending time with, you know, one of his loved ones before he became who he was. I won't say who because I don't want to give away spoilers. I'm sorry. I know people are like, what? It's just his. No. I'm not gonna say. You know who it is. So I think that one amazing thing about this movie as well is the fact that we're finally able to see Joker and Harley Quinn. I mean, come on, look at these guys. They're perfect from each other. I think that somebody made fan art, right? Oh, there it is. Yeah. Isn't it amazing? Isn't it amazing? It's amazing. I like that. It's pretty cool. It's wacky and it's cool and it just captures their personality perfectly. So I would like to see like how they develop their relationship and how it may be probably similar to the animated series, since that's where Harley Quinn first debuted at, the Batman animated series from back in the 90s, if you will. And just seeing like how they move their relationship forward, because we both know these characters are going to be in this DC extended universe for some time. And seeing that the Batman movie is not too far away, that's another thing that we can also think about as well. And another thing, speaking of Batman, I mean, come on. Batman is now in, you know, this shared universe. So this film allows us to also see all of these special ties to most of Batman's villain gallery that like we haven't like really seen before captured on the big screen. So like video games or cartoon series or etc. So it's gonna be pretty interesting to see, you know, how they go into, you know, most of these characters who we still had yet to see get some villain treatment. You know, I personally think that David Ayer has something different on his hands within this franchise. Like, everyone knows that this isn't going to be like the ordinary superhero film, because one, it's not a superhero film, it's a movie about villains who are being placed into this mission where they have to go in and do something. And that's the amazing thing about it. Like, we don't know exactly what these people are doing. Again, some people have their fan theories in regards to what may happen, but seeing all these characters coming together for what appears to be the greater good for the time being, will they all be able to stick together with that? Will there be people who turn on each other? Will there be people that die? You know, this movie is called Suicide Squad, so they're going into this suicide-like mission. You know, it's crazy. Like, it's something they're about to face. It's something nobody else has like really faced before. So I'm pretty interested in seeing it. And you know, the entire cast is perfect. You know, Amanda Waller, you know, being there, sending like all these people in there. I mean, they captured her attitude pretty perfectly, like in the trailers and stuff like this. So it seems like she's going to be around some time as well, like within the DCEU. So I'm pretty excited to see that as well. Now I think it's time to mention like some of the cons, and I know people are going to hate this, but the simple fact that, okay, one, I'll just go ahead and say it. The Joker has tattoos. I mean, come on, people. We didn't really like that at first, right? But there have been some scenes, if you hit the still button at certain times, you can see that there appears to not be any damaged tattoo like over his head, like in the scene like when he's laying down over top of the knife. You know, so yeah, I think you can see like right here, right? Right. So I wonder, like, will, you know, this Joker in this universe, you know, go through many different looks? Like, will he even use, like, face paint every now and then, like, similar to Heath Ledger's Joker in the Dark Knight, the Dark Knight. I was going to say Dark Knight Rises. Oh, it would have been so awesome, right? Rest in peace, Heath. I think his birthday was just the other day, too. God bless him. So another part of me feels like as if I really did want to see like the classic Joker that like we know from the comics, you know, or similar to Mark Hamill's Joker, you know, good day, Batso, we're gonna play a game, or something like that, you know, with the wacky attire, like the suit and everything, and we kind of get like this Joker that does kind of seem similar to Heath Ledger's, not mentally wise, because this one looks crazy, like the guns and the laughing, like the relationship with Harley Quinn. I'm glad that they decided to do that and make his Joker different from all the other ones. But when he speaks, it doesn't have like that. Like whenever you read a comic, I know that I'm not the only one. Whenever you read a comic, you can always hear Mark Hamill's voice whenever like you're reading about the Joker or something. Everybody has their main Joker that they love the most. But I think Mark Hamill, pretty much the best Joker. Whenever I read the Joker, that's exactly who I hear. So it's kind of hard taking myself out of that and seeing that somebody else is still playing it kind of like regularly. But I mean, he still does have like a maniac side to himself. Because I mean, even if you've seen like the interviews with like Jared Leto, like you can see that like he's still in character, which is pretty strange. But I'm cool with it because he's playing it safe. He's not gonna go too crazy, you know. So even though he's keeping like straight eye contact and not blinking, like when he's speaking about him, just like at the DC event that they had on TV the other night, which was awesome. I love that, and you know, it seemed like he's gonna really knock it out the park. Hearing like how he gave people dead rats and boxes and all types of other stuff. This is things I think that we should, you know, pretty much be happy about. You know, seeing like how willing he is to go the extra mile to play such a dark and, you know, limitless character. So it's gonna be a pretty good rendition to see of this character. My fourth most anticipated comic book movie of 2016 would have to be nothing else other than
Black and Blue. God versus man. Day versus night. The red capes are coming. The red capes are coming.
Batman vs Superman. Now here's a movie that all of us fans have been waiting for a long time. We've seen it teased in movies like I Am Legend, right? I mean, what side is it on? Is it on this side? Okay, you see? Yeah, they had it teased in the background, you know, like when he had, you know, like the little symbol and everything there. But now it's finally happening. You know, this universe is finally kicking off. We finally got characters interacting with other characters. And, you know, seeing like how they've handled the costumes here. I mean, come on. People complain about how Superman's costume was too dull in the first Man of Steel movie. Now they've made some changes to it. You can see like more of the blue. You can see like more of the yellow, like in the symbol, in the chest piece and everything. Batman's costume looks fantastic. The only thing I would have done, I would have added like longer bat ears, you know, similar to like the Arkham games, but I know that everything can't be exactly like the games. This is the DCEU. Batman can have over 1 billion different costumes if he wanted to, just like Tony Stark. Okay, so it's gonna be cool to see like how he handle those like further down the line. But that's another good thing about this movie as well. Batman is rumored to have like numerous costumes. You've seen 2 of those costumes, I believe, in the trailer at that. So you get to see like the armored batsuit that he wears from the classic Frank Miller story when he's taking on suits and, you know, throwing up his dukes and fighting and going at it with him. So I mean, it's gonna be insane, man. We're gonna be seeing like pretty good fighting choreography that we've never seen before. Batman do. I know the Nolan movies were pretty good, but I mean they used the KC fighting method so many times. I think I said it correctly. KC fighting method so many times. So it's gonna be pretty good to see like this guy who's mixed in with like all these different forms of martial arts and not dependent just like on one primarily fighting style. So I'm pretty excited to see that. No diss to Nolan, you gave us a pretty solid franchise for us to run with. So now we can take inspiration from that and do best with this franchise as well. And Zack Snyder's, you know, the second pro for this list would have to be Zack Snyder's faith in Ben Affleck. I mean, he's seen him. I mean, he's directed him. So I'm sure there's going to be a lot of scenes that we all haven't seen involving Affleck's take on Batman. I mean, from some of those little scenes that we've seen, like in the CW short event, you know, that they had like featuring the characters like most of the other DC upcoming. Yeah, you know it. And you know, like they show like some scenes like with Ben Affleck, you can see him like working out. He still looks terrific. He has like the build for it, everything. A lot of people are just fuzzy like when his acting chops. Will he have the rage to go like with Batman? Even though he can be like kind of like settled to himself at times, he doesn't have to just like pop off and, you know, yell in your face about like every single little thing. But since they are going more for the Frank Miller, you know, take on the character, we're seeing like an old age Batman. His patience is going to be very low. He's not going to probably have as much patience as he used to have. So we'll see what happens, and we'll see how, you know, Superman drives him to points that I don't think any of us have seen him go to in cinematic history at that. So it's going to be pretty good to see that on the big screen for the first time. My next pro would have to be the simple fact that the graphics and the visual side of this movie is amazing. From the trailer, I mean, you've seen the Batmobile. The Batmobile looks fantastic. Some people say it looks like, you know, some things look like video game, but I mean, come on, it'll be here in March. There's always polishing that's going to be done with these superhero movies as time goes on. We all know that. It's common sense. So I mean, we'll see what happens as time goes on, and I'm going to say I'm pretty optimistic to see like how they handle more flight scenes with Superman. You know, come on, Man of Steel, the first time when he took flight, and the music, you know, that's another good thing. We have Hans Zimmer and Junkie XL collaborating together to create like a new theme for the movie. I personally haven't listened to it at all. I want to hear it for the first time in theaters, which I think is going to be pretty awesome. I think they've already teased it in some of the trailers that we've received recently, so even if I have heard it, don't let me know that. I'm a huge fan when it comes to orchestra and trailers and, you know, all types of stuff like that, so it's going to be pretty good to see like how they handle that as well. One thing about this movie, which I think is like the biggest pro of this entire movie, it could be a con for some, but it's a big pro to me, is the fact that it's named Dawn of Justice. Why choose that title? Why not just say DBS? What does the Justice Squad have to do with it? I'll tell you what. Justice League. Yes. I won't say who will be debuting in this movie, but I can say that this movie is named Dawn of Justice for a reason. Some of these characters you've already seen me post in the past, but I won't even go into details for those for anybody who hasn't really seen them yet. But there is going to be a lot of, you know, reveals in this huge universe that DC has already shown us, you know, in the event that was not too long ago the other night. So seeing whichever one of these characters who could possibly appear in this movie is going to be something pretty fantastical to see. And I'm pretty excited to see how they're going to handle the Justice League in the upcoming movie next year. So it's also going to be a Batman vs. Superman movie, you know, but it's also going to be building up towards something bigger that's going to tie right into the 2017 movie, which is something to get excited about too. Another thing that I think that's important about this movie is the fact that Superman is going to get more development than we saw in Man of Steel. In Man of Steel, I think that he had decent development. We saw him do kind acts of greatness. I mean, he's a superhero, so of course they do that. But I mean, you can still see that he carried some of his characteristics, and he even mentioned it, you know, to, you know, like the general and etc. When he said, "I'm just a guy from Kansas. Like I'm a kid that grew up in Kansas." Blah blah blah. So I mean, he's still like. He's still grounded on earth. He doesn't see himself as being above, or does he? some things that can't be explored in this movie, which may cause Batman to be upset and go toe to toe with him. So I mean, these are going to be things I'm going to keep an eye on. You know, another thing that's caught my attention as well is Lex Luthor. You know, Jesse's Lex Luthor has everybody in their mixed feelings, but I do think that he has something significant to bring to this movie because there's so much that we don't really know about him just yet. We've only seen what Snyder has showed us, and I believe that in a recent interview not too long ago, he mentioned that it's all part of the plan of what he's shown us. After being questioned about the criticism surrounding his version of Lex Luthor, Zack Snyder had this to say about the character towards MTV. In the trailer, of course, he comes across in a very specific way. In the movie, he's like 1,000,000 times more sophisticated than what you get in 30 seconds. But that's also the fun of it. That's why you go to the movies, so that you can actually see the context and understand the depth. But now I think it's time to talk about the cons. I know a lot of people hate the cons, but I'm going to have to go there with you. The first con that I have to have to say in regards to this movie have to be Doomsday. Now, people say, well, yeah, I mean, it looks like he's still evolving. If you watch the trailer, you can still see some of his bones are still like constructing. I don't think that they should have shown us Doomsday because it could have been something that could just came off the blue like later on that we wouldn't have seen coming. But it's also been said that Doomsday is not going to be the final baddie or even like the biggest threat in this movie. So it could be someone else. Who knows? I don't know who this person is. Could it be the second form of Doomsday, the real Doomsday? If they're not, you know, using General Zod's body to make a clone, I hope that they don't do that. If they do, a part of me will be let down, but I mean, hey, it's all about like how they execute it and how they, you know, demonstrate like on the film and everything else. But I'm not a fan of Zod becoming Doom if that's true to happen. I'm not saying it's guaranteed to happen, but if it's true, I'm not a huge fan of it. But I'm not really feeling the look of him. I'm like, why? Like, if you're gonna introduce him like in Man of Steel 3 or like the second Superman movie at that. Doomsday is the villain that's known for killing off Superman. So I highly doubt they're going to kill off Superman when they just revealed, you know, the entire lineup for the Justice League not too long ago on the DC event. So I mean, they put him in the promo art. So there's no way that he's going to be, you know, killed off. That's it. Yeah, I hope not. So, and that'll have to be like a lot that they'll have to like retcon like all over. No, he's not dying. They're introducing Doomsday for a reason, and I think even Zack Snyder teased that Doomsday Origins could be, you know, taken into play within the upcoming Justice League. So we'll see what goes on with that and like why Doomsday is even being created in this movie at all, period. I know it's bringing together Bats and Wonder Woman and Superman together like as we've seen in the trailer, but you know, there are my doubts. I do have doubts, but I'm not going to say it's going to make the film terrible, but I just hope that they handle it with the best intent. So we'll see what happens with that. Another con that I have to say is that, I mean, it may sound a little nitpicky to you all, is how Henry Cavill is delivering some of these lines within this movie. Not too long ago, we got the recent clip with him and, you know, Batman talking to one another. And the scene was epic. I loved it. You know, I loved seeing them, like, two interact with each other, like, for the first time to give me a sense of what type of characterization we're getting out of these characters. And since this was a scene that was brought up in the beginning, what it appears to be in the movie, because, you know, Bat's first encountered Superman. Like, they both encountered each other for the first time, what it seems to be. So, you know, Batman saying, "Do you bleed?" and all this other type of stuff. And Cavill's there, like, you know, like this is like the way he was. I don't have his direct dialogue. Maybe I'll just play the clip. Let's see. Am I going to play the clip?
Next time they shine your light in the sky, don't go to it. The bat is dead. Bury it. Consider this mercy.
Tell me. Do you bleed?
Just like some of the dialogue and how he said it, I just wanted to seem like go into like a little bit more rage. I know like a lot of people don't like to see people nitpick with some of their favorite actors. I think that Cavill's like an amazing Superman. He has the build for it, but it's just his dialogue, like how he gives the delivery. I mean, Superman's not a, "I'll save you, la 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 la, I'm here to the rescue with my dress and whatever." No, like he's not like that. He's very soft-spoken. He's like the everyday American. He's like an American like in a bigger body, basically. So I do hope to see him, you know, not as, you know, consider this a warning. And, you know, all whatever. Let's move on to the next con. Alright, the next one will have to be that I hope that this film isn't too rushed. I know that we're building up to the Justice League in general, But I also hope that we also get more development with just Batman and Superman period, and Lex Luthor and all these other types of characters as well. I know that Wonder Woman is being introduced in this movie as well too. But you know, I don't want to feel like we're having like too many characters like drawn in at one time, like to the point where you're like, okay, what is this movie really about? Like, is it really a focus on Superman and Batman, or are we just trying to hurry up and rush into Justice League just to take it to the next step to introduce even more characters? I don't want DC to take their time, like making each film and then having to lead up, build up film like a lot of people say they should do similar to the Avengers. No, I don't agree. They shouldn't have to do that. They can do it their own way. I mean, they have all the rights to the characters. So how they want to introduce them into their own franchise is up to them. And I won't fault them for it. They can do whatever they want to do. But I do hope that they handle everything with the best intent. We're already getting a Wonder Woman movie next year. So even if we are getting introduced into Wonder Woman and who she is in this movie, we're still going to have a film next year that immediately follows up like on who this person is. So that's a terrific thing, I think, that a lot of people are going to be pleased with, especially the women audiences as well. Come on now. One of the first, solo female superhero movie. I know a lot of women don't, love the word female, but that's the first thing I think about. Wonder Woman, not Wonder Female. Wonder Woman, the main heroine of like all heroines that we've all come to know in the past. So, before Miss Marvel and all these other types of characters, it's going to be pretty interesting to see Wonder Woman get her big debut. But hopefully, they set up people so nicely that all you have to do is just check into the next spot. All the chess pieces will be placed on the table. You have everybody placed in the specific, I want to say Pacific, in a specific, perfect order to where they can just like make the next move into whatever film it is that they're going to make their big debut in. So that's going to be something interesting to see, and that would have to be my last con for this movie. But again, I'm very excited to see BVS, and I just can't wait to see what Zack Snyder is going to bring to this. Visually, it looks amazing. All right, moving forward to my fifth most anticipated comic book movie of 2016. I would have to say that this one would have to be no one else other than...
Yeah, I wanna shoot,
Kind of lonesome back here.
A little help here.
Oh. Excuse me.
Woo! Dopinder.
Pool. Dead.
Why the fancy red suit, Mr. Poole?
Oh, that's because it's Christmas Day, Dopinder, and I'm after someone on my naughty list.
Deadpool. Oh yeah. Deadpool's finally here. The one comic book movie that all the fans united together to have debuted into the theaters after its footage was leaked online. Cleverly marketing strategy, Fox. And it was pretty good. I mean, I have to say that even the footage now that they're releasing still looks just as great. The one thing that I think that we should all think about is the simple fact that Fox may not want to show too many details and too many scenes from this movie since it is rated R. So there's only but so many things that you can really market towards the public for an R-rated movie. You don't want to go too far into all the R-rated gory material and nudity as it's been, expressed just recently. So, hey, think about taking your kids, knowing to get the eyes, covered and whatnot. But it's still going to be a good movie, nonetheless. Lots of language, lots of swearing, lots of fourth wall breaking, you name it. The action is going to be tremendous because I believe they have the same people who worked on Captain America: The Winter Soldier, who did the fighting choreography. They're doing, the fighting choreography for this film as well. So that's going to be something awesome to see. And like so far, based off the trailers alone, we've seen some of these things teased. We've got to see the katanas. We got to see the Desert Eagle that Deadpool uses. All types of other gadgets and gizmos and, just weaponry, devices that he's going to be using in the films. I think they're going to really surprise us with some more, though. So I'm hoping that they save the best weapons for last because he is the weapon. Not X, but the first weapon. Okay, whatever. Anyway, moving on to the pros of this movie, I would have to first say that Colossus, you guys, Colossus looks tremendous. I've been waiting so long to see Colossus have more dialogue, and some people have actually gotten mad at me. Can you believe it? How can you get mad at somebody for being happy to see a character who needs to be explored further into his cultural aspects, his accent, all these other types of things? He's Russian, for crying out loud. Come on now. So he's finally getting more dialogue than he's ever had in all the X-Men films. If you don't believe me, go back and watch them. X-Men 2, what did he say? I can help you. And Wolverine's like, no, I got it. You help them. Blah, blah, blah. And that's it. Then the X-Men Days of Future Past. Oh, X3, I don't really think he said anything at all. X-Men Days of Future Past, he only said Mystique. And that was it. That was it. Seriously. these are things that we should really think about if we want to know who should be handling these X-Men characters for future references. I don't mean to be harsh. I don't mean to do that. I don't mean to be that guy. But I mean, I feel like as if a lot of people do not know the true cultural aspects, dialogue aspects, and just characterization aspects, period, about most of these characters, because they haven't really been given that much screen time on film, or so many people have been putting their hands in the pot dealing with them to the point where you don't know who's supposed to be what. You know, so one thing about this movie, it could be the starting period to explore the modern day X-Men universe, because, you know, we're going to get Gambit, and Gambit strongly looks like it's going to be set in the modern day. It wouldn't be a smart plan to put it back in the 80s and have to worry about doing all this other stuff, because in the future, Gambit's going to be too old, okay? And I think that, you know, I, like everyone else, I would like to see Gambit and Rogue hook up at one point instead of Rogue and Bobby. But this isn't about the X-Men movies. This is about Deadpool, who seems to be straying away from the X-Men movies as far as possible. So, one good thing about this movie, of course, that I've already mentioned, is it's going to be giving us some expansion of the X-Men universe. There's going to be some mutants here that we haven't really seen before, like the Teenage Warhead. I don't know who she is. I don't. Her powers are pretty cool. You know, I did see her sporting like the X uniform. If you go back and you look at that picture, yeah, oh, here it is, yeah. If you look at the picture here, you can see that she's sporting, yeah, you know, like the yellow, you know, X costume and whatnot. So I think that these are things that like they really paid attention to, and they really do want to show that there's some growth within the Xavier Institute for Gifted Mutants. And just hearing today, reading an interview with James McAvoy, he expressed like how at the end of the movie, how this Professor Xavier is going to be an entirely different state of mind than Sir Patrick Stewart's Professor Xavier was in the previous X-Men films. So it's going to be pretty cool to see, like, you know, how some of these mutants like maneuver with one another, how they interact, and, you know, like what's going on at the X Mansion. Will we find out what's going on there? Will there be any hints thrown at what's going on? So I think that those are things that like we should all like pretty much think about, and, you know, like take into consideration that we could be getting more of these things as more films prolong, with New Mutants, X-Force, and possibly even a Deadpool sequel in the works, which I'll get to in a little bit. This movie has the true potential to be different, because unlike most other comic book movies coming out this year, this is the only R-rated comic book movie that's coming out. If I'm wrong, please correct me, but if I'm right, I do believe it's the only R-rated comic book movie. Not even Suicide Squad. I'm surprised to see that. I thought that Suicide Squad was going to push the R rating, but it's playing it safe with the PG-13, which is a good thing. So I think it's going to be a financial success either way. But with Deadpool, you know, it's amazing, because a lot of people complain, like, you know, it's hard to like capture a character like that if Fox punks out and they decide to go the PG-13 route. Like, how can you truly express like how this character really is? You know, the language, you know, the blood and gore. Like, these are all things that define who the character is, and make him hilarious at times as well, and in a weird way, I know, but it still makes him twice as cool. So I think they got something different. I don't think I've seen like any other superhero movie where any other heroes has broken the fourth wall. And for anybody that doesn't know what that means like you can be in the movie, Deadpool can make, you know, references to the X-Men Origins movie and the person that portrayed him and how Fox handled that period. He could express, you know, so many different things in regards to Hugh Jackman getting recasted, or, you know, or the studio's budget wasn't high enough to show like a certain action scene that they really wanted to do. So that would be pretty hilarious. That would be pretty hilarious. I'm already laughing about it. I'm already getting my tickets ready for several of my friends. So I'm pretty excited to take everyone out to go, well, not take everyone out, to meet everyone out to go see it. So it's going to be awesome, and I can't wait to see it. Moving on to my last pro. My first of my last two pros would have to be the simple fact that this movie is releasing in February. Kingsman: The Secret Service, that did critically and financially amazing in February, because the competition was very rare, and it was just like outshine like everything else that came out at that time. So with Deadpool, it being a comic book movies are grossing like crazy on the popular charts. So these are no longer like, you know, $100 million making movies that, you know, studios like Fox and Warner Brothers are doing very long ago. Like, these movies are making huge cash now. These are billion-dollar franchises. So, you know, Deadpool, I think it has like one of the best chances to perform well. If it doesn't, I'll be highly displeased, but it's already made detract from that a little bit. I heard about China, you know, not trying to, you know, show the movie there because of certain things that they don't approve of, and how graphic and gory it was, or whatever the case may be. They didn't decide to, have it there and whatnot. So it could possibly tend its potential to do even better than it was originally supposed to have done. But a part of me still feels like, it's a low budget movie. If the low budget of it's like at least 50 million or even 30 million, 30 to 50 million, all it has to do is just make double the amount of his budget and plus additional amounts of cash for the marketing. So I'll probably say 50 plus 50, 100 million, plus an additional 125 million, 225 million. It should do that, right? It should. But I mean, hey, maybe I'm reaching a little bit. Maybe it may not have to be that high. We don't really know how much they spent on marketing, but that's another pro as well too. The marketing has been fantastic. Every now and then, like when you look, it's so easy to record these things because Ryan Reynolds, who actually owns the Deadpool suit, actually stole it and took it home, believe it or not. They can do, like whatever type of, viral ads or, viral series anytime when they want to in regards to the movie. So, it feels like it's like more organic, more natural. It isn't paving its way to be too much of what it already is. It's like, hey, we know what type of film this is, so we know that we can go on all these different routes, and they're embracing it. So that's like one of the most beautiful things about it. And I just, I really just hope it does well because Fox needs this movie and more people to see that they know how to handle costumes, period. Handling the right characterization of certain characters, not being afraid to go into further depths with like certain characters. So I think it's going to be pretty interesting to see what T.J. Miller is cooking up in this movie. I hope I did say his name. Tim Miller? T.J. Miller? Which Miller? There's two Millers. That one. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, that's the guy. Yeah, sorry about that. Don't kill me. Alright, moving on to the cons. Moving on to the cons, I probably have to say that one of the things that did puzzle me a little bit just recently was the simple fact that this movie takes place in a pre-apocalyptic Detroit. While participating in a trailer breakdown for Deadpool with Empire Magazine, director Tim Miller were going to say that the idea was that it should look like a shitty place because you want to set Deadpool and his world apart as something different, grittier, nastier, more like Daredevil, where it's down in the streets, where he's dealing with the small-time shit that the X-Men in their shiny high-tech world don't usually deal with. They have car models that are still roaming around from previous years ago. So, it's a nerdy thing to think about, but it'll give a lot of people more clarification in regards to just how long this X-Men franchise has been, moving along post X-Men Apocalypse. In the pre-apocalyptic Detroit, I'm like, where are they getting at? What does the pre-apocalyptic thing have to do with any of this? Is it still like in disarray since X-Men Apocalypse? Like, what's going on here? So it's it's causing some gears to grind, and a lot of people are confused on it. But it's something that I think that they should take very seriously. Don't just put it anywhere. Don't let it be its own thing. Connect it into the X-Men universe. So just let it be the starting point for the newer films to come in the near future. So that would have to be that one. Moving on, I would have to say that some of the jokes are already getting a little annoying. But then again, I've already expressed that they can only show but so many jokes within the TV spots and commercials and etc. Because, hey, you do have children that are watching these ads as well, too. So I'm perfectly fine with that. And plus, I don't personally want to know all the jokes. But I know for some people out there, they complain, oh, well, we're getting tired of hearing this. We're getting tired of hearing DMX. Why? I love DMX, man. That's what I'll give it to you. It's fine. Like, it works for the movie. If Guardians can do if they can do that, then Deadpool should have no problem with doing DMX and embracing, the X, Weapon X, Team X, whatever. That's another thing. Speaking of that, well, he's not Weapon X, whatever. I already got confused. I'm not gonna do it again. But speaking of that, if this thing has to deal like with strikers, experiments and whatever, will Stryker even appear in this movie? It seems like we don't really see him or have any hints like led to him like in the trailers themselves. Like, it seems like they're keeping him pretty far apart. I mean, I'm not really too sure now, like, if Stryker's like the main brains behind his behind the creation of Deadpool, but I mean, you would think that, him being part of Team X, they would kind of like hint at that to some degree. And I do believe that Hugh Jackman will have a cameo in this movie. I'm hoping that even if it's just a scene, we get to see like Wolverine just like in the tank or something like that. Like the classic look, like when he had like the metal head cap like on top of his head, like in the floating water, you know, being experimented on. Just give me something like that. But that's another thing to think about too. Now that Deadpool takes place in a new timeline, and you know, he's being one of the first weapons to be created. I think that that's how it originally happened in the comics, or that's how it happened in X-Men Origins. I might be mixing you guys up, forgive me if I do. But I believe they said that he was one of like the first weapon experiments who was first experimented on, if I'm correct. So if he was, is it possible that Wolverine may be experimented on later within this franchise? Is it even possible that we'll get a different actor who will be able to pave the way to play a younger Wolverine? Not too younger, I hope, but you know, at least like a similar looking Wolverine who may go through the Weapon X experiment, etc., etc., etc. So it would be pretty neat to see if Fox can make a television series focusing on Wolverine's days with Weapon X, but I'm sure there's only but so much that they'll be able to show probably because of the budget. Will Reynolds be willing to return Sabretooth, Lady Deathstrike? I don't really think they would want to go that far, but you know, it does cause you again to, you know, get some gears grinding in regards to exactly how they're placing what with what. Because the last time we saw Wolverine, I hate to make this about Wolverine, it's about Deadpool, but these are things that I do think about when I think about Team X. The last thing I remember seeing in Days of Future Past was Mystique had Wolverine, and she just gave him off to, I think that she ended up, no, we thought it was Stryker, but it wasn't. It was Mystique, and his whereabouts were like unknown. We don't know what's happened to Hugh since then. So it would be good if they just at least like hint at like where he could be like in this modern time, where he's at, like what's he going through. Hopefully he's going through the Weapon X experiment, because it will make things make a lot more sense. Especially seeing that his last film is coming up, Old Man Logan. So, you know, I don't care as long as it just makes sense. It doesn't have to be 100% correct, but hey, just as long as you can just watch these movies and say, okay, well, they place it there instead of there, then that's all I need to see. Please. It's been too many errors. You guys have the perfect chance to start straight, so I'm praying that you guys get this done. So, please. One last thing that I'm a little worried about is the leaked script. Now, with the script that was leaked, and how people are saying that some of the events within the movie do look like they're going to be very similar to the script, will it be so that fans will already know like what will happen in the movie? Will it detract away from their filming? I mean, from their experience when they go see the movie at that? So I'm hoping that, you know, there aren't as many as changes that I'm hoping that there are as many as changes that have been made, so that fans won't know right off the bat like what's going to happen, like here and there, here and there. So I'm glad that I didn't read the leaked script. Please, no one be that guy or girl and just list spoilers in the comment section. We're almost like, what, 2 weeks away. So come on. It's going to be different. I'm hoping it is. So I'm sure we're all going to have something like pretty good to, you know, see in a few more weeks. My least most anticipated comic book movie of all 2016 films set to release this year will have to be no other film than...
This is war.
Everything they built will fall! And from the ashes of their world, we'll build a better one!
X-Men Apocalypse, directed by Bryan Singer. Now this is a film that I'm being both very hard on and very anxious to see, because I'm hoping that they can end this First Class trilogy off on the right foot, the same way that they started it. Even though they may not have had the same characters that may have been reflective upon, you know, the original X-Men comics, like Angel, Cyclops, Jean Grey. Well, they did have Beast and a few others. You know, it's still cool. You know, they did their own thing. They made some hiccups in Days of Future Past, got rid of some mutants. I'm just wondering, like, why would you get rid of them? Because you could have used them in this movie to make more mutants present. But hey, they've had their problems. They're trying to retcon things and fix things and start this new established X-Men franchise off with the original characters that we all know from the 90s series and the original comics as well. Chris Claremont's, you know, classic run. So I mean, now we're getting mutants like Nightcrawler, Beast, Storm, Jean Grey, Cyclops, Jubilee, Angel, all in the same team. So these are classic things that I think, and if they do this shot at the end of the movie with all these three just sitting in the danger room, just lining up, ready to just tackle on whatever Professor X is cooking up in his head for them to tackle in the danger room, this is going to be the most perfect scene ever in any X-Men related film, and it could possibly tie into any scene within comic movies in general. So I'm very anxious to see how they handle this, guys. I've been waiting for them. You know, I've been waiting for this moment to come because I've been preparing for this ever since I knew that Days of Future Past was announced. Because I automatically knew with Apocalypse, since it was rumored to be next, I was already cooking up ideas in my head of how they can end this thing. So it does seem like they are following a few fans, dreams in regards to like what they really do want to see from this film, how they want to see things end. There have been changes made to Apocalypse. I don't know if those changes were made because of the fact that people were complaining or because of the fact that people just didn't know what they were talking about and they didn't see all the full things in its full potential. Like if you look at the Empire magazine that they released, no, I'm sorry, the Entertainment Weekly magazine that they released, you would see that that Apocalypse is blue there. But then more people still saying that he looked like Ivan Ooze. Ivan Ooze and this blue creature, they don't really look the same. No, I'm sorry, they don't. Maybe the purple image, yes, I'll agree with that, but no. He does look like Apocalypse. He has the lips, and when I got to see everything in motion within the trailer, Oscar Isaac looks pretty darn good as Apocalypse. The only thing I wish that they did change, just a nitpick, I wish they did do the voice a little differently, you know, akin to the anime series from the 90s. I am Apocalypse, and I will conquer your world. You know, the lip was a little drippy, your world. But he was awesome. We loved the voice. It gave us chills and made it feel like it was actually evil. This person, he still sounds a little human, but his motivations is what will speak more through him, and his psychological ideas and philosophical ideas as well. You know, like towards other mutants. Him being the first mutant, how he sees everyone else as being his children, how him and Xavier will have their beef going on in the story, how they'll collide with that. So these are all things I'm going to talk about in a few minutes, but this is my last one, so I'm going to try to be also as brief and as also as honest as I can. Because it's a movie, again, I'm very compassionate about. I love the X-Men, and I just wish for them to have the best underneath this franchise. I appreciate everything Bryan Singer has done this far. He's gotten us so far to this point. So now he's building up a lot. So hopefully that somebody else can probably take over and take these characters to levels that we've never seen before, because we're going to have a new cast. We're going to have villains and heroes like all in all these different locations. Who knows? We don't know how this movie is going to end. But Simon Kinberg has stated that this movie is going to drastically change the future of the X-Men movies, period. So perhaps whatever happens in X-Men Apocalypse could have that pre-apocalyptic feel to Deadpool. Who knows? So I guess we'll see what happens with that. But one of my most anticipated things in this movie is that's the conclusion of the trilogy. We've been with this trilogy for a long time. We've known that Apocalypse is going to be the last movie of the trilogy, so there's so many different ways, like I said, that they can end things. Costumes, character-wise, villain-wise, you know, action-wise, they can just go full out. Do whatever it is that you need to do. Even though they have made some continuity errors, okay, I'll get into those afterwards, don't worry about it. But I'm focusing right now on the positives. But I have to say that, you know, the cast looks great. We've got a Cyclops now. We've got, you know, Sophia as Jean Grey. You know, the actor playing Nightcrawler, who was also in Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. He's very excited to play the character. He's going to have the accent. And I even believe that he's German as well, too. So I believe he's going to be the comedy. He's going to be the comedic, like, relief in the movie as well. So Nightcrawler is a very happy character. He's a jubilant character. His faith in his religion. Everything. It sounds great. It sounds like they're really capturing the spirit of some of these characters. I just heard that Storm is going to have an accent. She's even going to speak Arabic. Lastly, I would have to say that my cons in regards to this movie would have to be the simple fact that now we're still showcasing Jennifer Lawrence as one of the main star members. Now, I get it. Now, a lot of people say just because she was in the Hunger Games, now they want to make her popular here. But the thing that people don't realize is that Jennifer Lawrence is already popular in First Class. Well, not popular, but I have to say she started off to her progression in First Class before she even started in the Hunger Games. Now, I can understand it, you know, like she's like a high-class, beautiful actress. But my thing is, let's focus on what's more important. Now, perhaps this could be like a passing of the torch. Like, hey, I've been able to redeem myself, and now it's time for you all to do your thing to the side. That's cool and all, but let's not forget like who Mystique really is. Just like how Hank McCoy did, stating Days of Future Past. There's still something in my mind that tells me that Mystique can probably go back into her normal traits that she had within the original trilogy. So I guess we'll see like how those things develop and turn out like further down the line. But my thing is, I'm hoping that this movie isn't too focused on Jennifer Lawrence's Mystique. Second of all, I would have to say that Archangel's design is completely off the track of what I thought it was going to be. He has face paint, like lines in his face that resemble, I guess, when Archangel was wearing the mask like over top of his head and stuff. And I'm just like, no. Archangel is blue. Just because everybody else in the movie is blue. Beast, Mystique, Apocalypse, Archangel can have the chance of being blue too. In fact, he could be like a bluish, purplish, you know, like a combination between. Oh yeah, we also have Nightcrawler. So maybe they may have been like too many blue people, but hey. A part of me just feels like as if, hey, you could have still went that route and still did that. It may not affect his performance-wise, but when you look at him, it's just like you just see Angel. You don't really see Archangel. It's like you're seeing like the pre-version of Archangel before everything else is finished up. It's like he hasn't finished loading yet, if you will. So I'm hoping that we can get to see, you know, some of those things, if not in this movie, further down the line, because hey, you never know. Apocalypse could always return, and I'm hoping that they do not kill him off. Let's alleviate ourselves from the villain rule. First Class, Shaw, gone. Days of Future Past, Sentinels, gone. There wasn't even a Master Mold, so that was already out of the question. Days of Future Past didn't really had a villain, but it was kind of like wishy-washy. Everybody had their dirty deeds that they were doing that made it seem like they were doing it for the greater good. So I can't really say that film had a villain. I would say Magneto was, but it's kind of hard because he played the role on both sides. Like, they captured the sense of him being the anti-hero perfectly within those films. So I can't really say that. But please, let's not kill off Apocalypse. You know, let him do his thing. Throw him off into space or something like this. If Jean Grey becomes pre-Phoenix and just goes pre-Phoenix on him and just flings him into outer space, I'd be like, okay, that was tight. Or Magneto helps to do it. Like, he capsulizes him like inside of some type of metal confinement to where he can't get out. Or he just splits him in half. Who knows? Who knows what will happen? But I'm hoping that a part of me just hopes that he does find a way to come back further down the line, because Apocalypse as a character is a character that always has a way of randomly popping up. And, you know, there's different timelines and time jumping and alternate, you know, timelines that they can do in which he may return. So that's something that I really do hope that, you know, like they will end up doing like further on. So, I mean, I guess we'll see what happens with that. I guess you guys can see that I'm looking at my list now. So I'm just going on my last 2 points. My last 2 points would have to be Beast and Mystique. The romance between them, I don't want to be focused on that much because I never really did see. I mean, Beast has always had trouble like really finding like the perfect relationship. They've kind of like hinted at it like in the animated series. I know I recall in the animated series like because that's what I grew up on, and they stay so true to like some of the comic book events that's happened. So it's basically like my quick go-to at times. But I have been reading the Chris Claremont run, which I just read the other day, especially God Loves Man Kills. Oh my gosh, beautiful. Same thing goes for the Phoenix saga that I'm currently reading right now by Chris Claremont. So that's going pretty good, and it's giving me ideas for further later. But the main thing I want to say is, like, let's not focus too much on their relationship. I mean, there's going to be romance in superhero movies. I don't think that anybody can name one superhero movie where there wasn't any romance at all. There's romance always in superhero films, but hopefully it won't become too dramatic. I don't want to suffer from what The Amazing Spider-Man 2 suffered from. Even though it did kind of work in their case because Gwen did, spoiler alert, die in that movie. So they had to like do a lot of build up. They had him actually make you feel like they were together so I could hit it hard at the end, like, you know, she met her fate in the clock tower. So I would have to say I just hope that they died down a little bit on it. You can tease it, you can have it there, it can be a focus. Jean Grey and Scott as well, Fassbender and Mystique, Beast and Mystique. You know, it's going to be this little love triangle, and Charles Xavier and Moria Taggart. So that's something that's interesting as well too. A part of me really wishes that Banshee was there, because Banshee and Moria were the ones that end up dating in the comics. But hey, you can't do everything by the comics all the time. So this is a movie universe. The MCU has done the same thing according to the Russo brothers and stuff like that. So I'm sure we'll see more of that later. My last thing will have to be Apocalypse's powers. Now, Singer has stated that he didn't want Apocalypse to be like the giant marshmallow man from Ghostbusters. According to Empire magazine, after being questioned about Apocalypse's iconic size changing, Bryan Singer stated that it's part of the mythology of Apocalypse's size. But I couldn't go full Stay Puft Marshmallow Man where he's just a giant Apocalypse swatting at things. I did something a little interesting in how I addressed the size thing, but I think the audience will get a kick out of it. A part of me just really hopes that they, you know, capitalize like off of some of the comic book abilities he had that makes him like so iconic to so many fans of the character. So I really do, I mean, I want them to play it safe, but then again I also want them to step out of their comfort zone. You are now surrounded by not just one, but 2 movie franchises that are already on the run, on the go with what they're doing. DC with giving Superman his powers, you know, showcasing Doomsday, you know, all that. The MCU, Ant-Man, you know, Guardians of the Galaxy, Thanos, Ronan the Accuser, can't say the same for Ultron, but still, you know, it's it's like you guys can go there now. You can go the distance. So I really do want to see them step outside their comfort zone with this film. Again, that will have to end everything for like all of my comic book movies. I hope you all enjoyed it, but I really do want to say that I'm highly anticipating all these movies equally, but there are different hype levels that I have for each one. And I'll also, you know, do a reaction video to after I've seen like all these films, like at the end of the year, like after I guess what November comes. And you know, I could probably do like bit by bit, like which one is taking the lead so far, which one am I going to put on top of this one, which one I'm going to put on top of that one. So maybe I could do like something like that, you know, as time goes on and me sitting down probably instead of standing up. But I hope you all enjoyed this video that I made. About to go edit and put it together now, so I really hope that you guys can feel more than free to share some of your thoughts of which ones are you're most anticipating. If you want to, feel more than free to comment below. I'm always listening to, you know, fellow nerds, fellow fans, fellow, you know, friends and family, whoever. Like, you know, just list like what you feel and like let me know which ones you're most anticipating, and hey, we can get to talking sooner or later, like once most of these movies come out. So again, this is Paris Hughes, aka The Rational Nerd at comicbookmovie.com. Again, like I'm not like one of the YouTube subscribers that's trying to hurry up and get subscribers, but if you want to see like whatever type of future videos I do in the near future, feel more than free to subscribe. It's my first time doing it, so please have patience with me. So I'm gonna definitely work on it again. There's more to come in the future. Thanks for being here with your boy, and I'm signing off. All right.